Welcome to the Sports Lounge, brought to you by the Sportsbook at WaterView Casino in Vicksburg.
Welcome into the Sports Lounge. I'm Jon Wiener.
And I'm Ray Coleman. Coming up this week on the Sports Lounge, we're talking March Madness, but hey, not just nationwide, especially here in the Magnolia State.
We're going to get an inside look at Ole Miss Pro Day. Our guy ISO Joe was in Oxford on Friday, and we're going to welcome in 24/7 sports basketball expert Jerry Meyer, one of the best in the business. Talk a little Final Four and preview all the action in Minneapolis.
Baseball edition for Table for Two. Really excited about that one, man. My favorite
Opening
segment
weekend,
thus
man.
far.
Had to do baseball on Table for Two.
And of course, we got to bring the games.
Yeah.
You got the dub next week.
Yeah.
Respect to you for that, for getting that dub last week. But here we go now with Crossfire. Taking me back to my childhood for that one, so I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Crossfire in GameTime coming up in the Sports Lounge, and we're going to put our money where our mouth is as well, and give you some picks to lock in. You boys 2-0 right now here in the Sports Lounge. But Ray, first, the big stories in sports, and of course, let's talk about the Final Four. Your Final Four is set. Virginia, the number one seed, the only number one seed in the Final Four. I want to talk about that Auburn team. I mean, when you looked at the SEC, and we said 2 weeks ago, Romero Osby came on as our guest analyst, you know, guy who's played in the tournament a bunch, and he said the SEC is the best league in the country. And while not everybody made it through, I think Auburn's showing you just how deep the league is.
Man, he was spot on. And listen, I'm calling the Auburn Tigers from now on the Blue Blood Slayer.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, you go in and you knock off North Carolina, Kansas, and Kentucky. Yeah. And I mean, they dominated. They have clearly looked like, in my opinion, the best team in the tournament. I was wrong about these guys. I won't lie. I had them losing in the first round. They only won by a point in the first round versus New Mexico State. But since then, they've been absolutely rolling, man. Credit to Bruce Pearl, but more importantly, he has the best, most athletic team that is left in the tournament for sure.
And, you know, to go back to, like, that original Table for Two, remember we had Kentucky, LSU, and Auburn as our choices. And I went with Auburn because, they had the matchup, but you felt like of the teams, if they were all playing well, that Auburn, with the pieces that they have, the way they get up and down, the firepower, the defense, would be the team that maybe could, like, make the run, you know what I mean? And it seems like, you know, we're to that point, and Auburn, Virginia, what a good basketball game that's going to be. And Tom Izzo with Michigan State with his 8th Final Four. And Ray, before we look ahead, I mean, what a classic that was. Michigan State, Duke, Zion, Krzyzewski, Izzo, and it delivered in every way.
I mean, you got your marquee names and coaches, two of the best coaches to ever do it, right? You got the marquee player, the brand name. We're talking about Zion Williamson. Surprised he didn't get a look at the last shot, if you ask me.
I agree. You know, I was just sitting with my buddy, and he's like, how are you not going to draw up a play for Zion?
I think Coach K overthought this one. If I could ever critique Coach K, I think he said, you know, everybody's going to be looking for Zion. Let me go ahead and draw it up for somebody else. But, man, listen, Michigan State, they got a player that's playing this year that was on the last team that they had in the Final Four back in 2015.
Wow.
So, I mean, here we are. Izzo, every 3 or 4 years, is going to find a way. He may not have the most talented team, but he'll find a way to get his teams in the Final Four. Credit to what he's done throughout his career, man.
Interesting that he was 1-11 against Duke and was able to get through, and then Texas Tech obviously making their first Final Four. What a great story that is. It's been a great story with the Mississippi State women, Ray. They go to Oregon in the Elite Eight, and they have to play Oregon,
which is wild,
in Portland. It was wild, but let's call a spade and face facts here. And I think the people who really understand basketball in this state and can divorce themselves from sort of this fanboy media problem that's like taking hold here. Oregon beat Mississippi State twice. Wasn't the first time they beat them. They beat them earlier in the year. I thought they were just a better team. They were a better shooting team. They were a better built team. I think they just outplayed Mississippi State.
And their best player, Sabrina Ionescu, played every minute.
Outstanding.
She had 31 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. When they needed their best player to shine, she absolutely did that. And listen, the game was tight from beginning to end. They just made a few more plays down the stretch. And like you said, they already beat Mississippi State. So it's not like it's a shocker, maybe for us, because we don't know as much about Oregon here in Mississippi. But at the end of the day, Oregon feels like they did exactly what they were supposed to do.
And I think Baylor's a really good club, but wouldn't be surprised to see Oregon win the whole darn thing. They looked a lot like the good UConn teams in terms of the way they space and the way that they shoot. But let's give Mississippi State some credit here, Ray. They scored 84 points in a ball game. You tell Vic Schaefer most nights, hey,
Yeah.
you're going to score 84 points. You take that. Tierra McCowan finishes with 19 points, 15 rebounds.
bad
Heck,
night.
Mississippi State shot almost
Yeah.
50% from the floor in that game, but Oregon shot 50% from three and 54% from the field goal that you see. And you know, I just thought Mississippi State played pretty well offensively, despite the fact that they were limited. But Oregon, I mean, they just hit every shot. They got open shots and they hit contested shots.
It's one of those classic games where you go back and forth after every quarter. It was a 3 or 4 point deficit either way. So it's one of those things where nobody dominated the game. And like you said, State didn't play a bad game.
No.
It's just Oregon.
Not on the offensive
Yeah,
end.
not
I
on the
mean, for
offensive
Oregon
end.
to hang almost 90 points on them, I
yeah.
know that's what Vic Schaefer's got to
Sure.
be, you know, ruined a little bit.
But looking ahead, man, I mean, you look at what Coach Vic Schaefer's done. 3 Elite Eights in a row. Obviously, he'd like to have 3 Final Fours in a row. But at the end of the day, the program that he's put together, the recruits that he has coming in, sky's the limit for this program, man. They're only going to go to the top, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's a great run, you know, for the seniors to even get back to the Elite Eight after 2 straight Final Fours. But they're there with the Baylors and the UConns and South Carolinas. They're going to have a lot more opportunities.
Rasheed Wallace would say both of those teams played hard. You know who's not playing hard anymore?
Who's that?
Guys in the NBA. In particular, the best player allegedly in the NBA and LeBron James. They shut him down because obviously they're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
When you hear the best player in the league, in the world, is shutting it down, what goes through your mind?
Well, I think that it's a referendum a little bit on LeBron and kind of what's happened with the Lakers. Now, this thing has changed since LeBron got hurt. Now, remember, the Lakers were 20-13 on Christmas Day. They were a 4 seed. LeBron went down. Everything changed. Somebody said their high water moment was the 7-minute mark in the third quarter on Christmas Day because after LeBron went down, it was all downhill for the Lakers.
For sure.
It makes sense for the Lakers to shut down LeBron.
Yeah.
We know that. But it's hard to comprehend and, I guess, come to grips with the fact that it didn't work for the first time. Like every time LeBron goes to a team, they win 35 games, and the next year they win 55 games. LeBron, it seems like, has taken the Lakers in a totally different direction, and Ray, unless they can get a star player to come there, which now all of a sudden that seems up in the air. I don't know what the end game is for LeBron in LA.
I won't pile on that because everything you just said I agree with. I'm going to go to my paper only because I want to read off some notes to you about this deal.
Please do.
All right. First of all, this is a joke.
At least we're prepared in the last.
This is a joke, and here's why. So we got people who, we know it costs an arm and a leg to see a Laker game anyway. So now people who have season tickets or the kid who can only, afford to go to the one game at the end of the season.
You're going to the kids.
Only because I'm being real about it.
All right.
LeBron James shuts it down is good for the Laker organization. I agree. But who's it bad for? The people who fund these organizations.
And you made a good point. This wasn't the Lakers shutting LeBron down. It's when
It's
LeBron shut it down. LeBron's making the call. Great point.
All right, so LeBron James is my age. He's 34 years old, all right? Michael Jordan, who I consider the GOAT, played 15 seasons. The only time he played less than 78 games was 3 times in his career. One time he broke his ankle, had to miss the whole season, right? Came back in the playoffs. The other time, 1995, when he came back from baseball.
Sure.
I'm back. The third year, he's 40 years old. He plays 53 of 60 games because he was the front office guy, came down and played with the Wizards. LeBron James has only played 78 games 7 times out of 16 seasons. Listen, man, I get it.
A lot of numbers you just threw at me.
I get it. LeBron James is a bona fide Hall of Famer legend. He can do whatever he wants, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is almost GOAT
But let's
territory.
not forget who we're servicing here. This is a sport and where you're supposed to be playing every night. And if you consider yourself the GOAT, then go out and play whether your team is winning championships, making the playoffs consistently, or if you just suck this year, suck it up and play, period.
Some surprising news in some ways, or some quick news that really just came about this week, and the AAF, Ray, is suspending operations. Of course, the Alliance of American Football.
Yeah.
And this is a situation where it doesn't seem like the product was failing.
Yeah.
That's what I think is important to pay attention here, that this is, the ratings were solid.
Sure.
The attendance was solid. It just, they didn't have the capital and the long-term business plan, it became very early on, to support the league. So I think we need to stop short of saying, well, the league was a failure, the product was a failure, the business plan didn't work, and Bill Polian and Dick Ebersol were sort of the same thing. Say, we know the product worked, and the owner got on board in the first place because he saw the product working. And it's just a guy who said, I'm losing $70 million, I'm going to rethink this investment here.
I personally think this just furthermore proves that the NFL is a monopoly. You know, at the end of the day, it's not a horrible product, but there's a difference, and I get that it's not supposed to be the NFL, but there's a difference between when you watch the NFL versus watching Johnny Manziel backpedal for 15 yards, run forward a couple of yards to get a 3-yard gain. When you watch that and then you watch the cleanness and the crispness of the game that is the NFL, it's automatically going to have an impact. Listen, me, I can watch the AAF because I get it. I don't look at it as the NFL. I appreciate it for what it is, but when you're asking the casual fan to look at it, then they're going to say, well, this ain't the NFL. That will hurt them in the long run, and I think you're seeing that now. I agree. The product works, but they got to get the finances right, and they have to identify who they're going to be moving forward.
Well, and Tom Condon came in and, kind of the league, when they started off, they had a good plan, they felt like, but they realized, hey, we don't have the money to pay for all this. And then Tom Condon comes in and puts down $250 million, and that essentially gave him de facto control of the league. He became chairman of the league, but then it put the AAF in this spot where, he saved you, but now he can pull that plug at any time, and he has, and it looks like we'll see. I think there's some last-ditch efforts, and Polian has come out and said, "Hey, just because this guy's the chairman doesn't mean he's got the final say in it." But it's an interesting sort of the business, behind the product. And speaking of business, Ray, we'll talk with Jerry Meyer again coming up in the show, 24/7 Sports basketball expert, about not just the Final Four that we have in Minneapolis, but some of the moves that are already happening in college basketball. And you talk about silly. First of all, what Kentucky's paying John Calipari already, but now this idea that Kentucky and Cal have both said we're going to commit to this
We're married
for life.
now.
A lifetime contract? What?
Never heard of anything like it. Look, from Coach Cal's point of view, why not? Because, at that point, the dollars are coming. I can imagine the buyout clause is going to be ridiculous when it comes to that. I haven't seen the numbers on it, but I can only imagine. And it just puts him in a good spot. And at the end of the day, Coach Cal is an elite coach. There aren't many names that you can put over him.
But isn't it all just noise? Like the lifetime contract. There's no contracts in college sports. If you want to leave enough, then you can get out of it. Or if they want to fire you, they will.
If it's a lifetime contract and he has back-to-back losing season, that lifetime contract gets really
Your
short
life
after a
is
while.
short.
For sure.
You look at Texas A&M pursuing Buzz Williams, who's done a really good job at Virginia Tech, and I think Texas A&M is, when you look at the jobs across the SEC, obviously you have Arkansas open and Vanderbilt open, but I think A&M, kind of like they are in football, just, hey, look, when you got I wish we had like that A&M money, we could make a lot of things happen, but I think A&M is a job to pay attention to, and Buzz Williams is a really good coach.
Absolutely. You and I both know from the football world that Texas A&M's facilities are second to none.
Yes.
So that money, those facilities roll over into the basketball program as well. So any head coach is going to step in with the facilities, with the financial support, and not only that, Texas is not bad when it comes to basketball as well now.
They've had a lot of success.
Yeah, so let's keep that in mind too. So those three things working in your favor, if it's Buzz or whoever it is going to get that spot, they're going to be in a pretty good spot to make a good run in the SEC.
You look at your top jobs, UCLA, Arkansas, Vanderbilt. Between the two SEC jobs, real quick, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, what's the better spot?
I got to say Arkansas just because of the pedigree and the history. I understand what Vanderbilt can offer in terms of city and facilities as well, but I just feel like Arkansas has a more rich tradition when it comes to bringing in somebody and building a program like that.
Those are your starters. We're here in the Sports Lounge. He's Ray Coleman. I'm Jon Wiener. Coming up, we're going to check in with ISO Joe. Was in Oxford for Ole Miss Pro Day on Friday. We'll deep dish that one and celebrate Major League Baseball opening weekend with a little baseball edition of Table for Two. Stay with us here in the Sports Lounge.
You are in the Sports Lounge. Follow us online at Bash Brothers Media and share, like, and follow the show to enter to win a one-night stay for two at WaterView.
You are in the Sports Lounge. Ray Coleman, Jon Wiener, the awesome Bash Brothers Media crew. Got to give a shout out to ISO Joe, Hackin' Hank. We're going to call him Josh Clegg for right now, but I got to come up with a nickname.
We
Every week, I'm just going to give him a new one until it sticks. And on social media, if you feel like you like one, let us know.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, seriously, let us know because we'll run with it. But until then, I'm going with Jay Clegg for this week. So, Jay Clegg, shout out to you, man.
Josh has never asked and Josh would know about that. Hey, speaking of the internet and speaking of social media, make sure you share the show because we want to bring others in to the Sports Lounge. And also, you can share the show and win some of our great giveaways. Jerry Meyer with 24/7 Sports still to come. Game Time. We've got CrossFit. You remember CrossFit? Crossfire. I'm glad we're not doing CrossFit.
I would fail at CrossFit. Crossfire, I'm probably going to fail too. But CrossFit, absolutely.
We would both really be in trouble if it was CrossFit. In fact, it's Crossfire.
Yeah.
That's coming up in Game Time. But hey, and Table for Two still to come. But right now, let's deep dish and look back at Ole Miss Pro Day on Friday in Oxford. And let's go to our ISO cam right now. We'll debut it and welcome in ISO Joe, who was in Oxford to cover Ole Miss Pro Day on Friday. Is a really star-studded Pro Day, Joe, and you've been doing, I know you're really locked into the NFL, excited about your draft coverage coming up. You did great stuff on the NFL Combine, and Ray, we had so many Mississippi State and Ole Miss guys. But this is your first time, Joe, in Oxford in the Manning Center. Just give me your impressions of the scene.
Well, listen, first of all, there's a difference between D1 and D1 sports. Yeah. I went to a school that had D1. We had the one gym for both athletes and students.
And this is Marist University?
Yeah, Marist College.
Marist College,
yeah.
Okay.
This was totally different.
Yeah.
This is nuts. Just unbelievable facility. Really cool to see. And, you had the whole team basically there. There were 60 scouts and NFL personnel at this pro day. So there was a lot of pressure on these kids and, a lot to be working for.
Mm-hmm. There was pressure, but how kind of different was the vibe at Pro Day compared to the Combine?
It's a very different vibe, and it's because the Combine is the kids' first chance to really perform in front of NFL scouts and NFL teams. There's a ton more people, including GMs, coaches. Kids are nervous. They're playing around kids that they played against on the field rather than their own teammates. And when you get to your Pro Day, you're in your own facility. Right. Your own coaches are there. Your own teammates are there to cheer you on. Yeah. You're comfortable in your surroundings. So it really is a lot different. It's still nerve-wracking, but after the Combine, you're used to it almost.
Yeah. So obviously DK Metcalf and AJ Brown are the names that everybody wants to talk about. So my question is twofold. Would you see in them that kind of impressed you, or was there anybody else during that pro day that kind of made you say, okay, man, that guy can be a player on the next level too?
There were a couple standouts there, but to start us off, let's talk about NWO because they really did steal the show.
Yeah.
When you talk
they
about...
They are a show.
They are.
So anyway, they've been a show. That's what they do. Yeah.
It's true, and AJ Brown and DK had great Combine performances, so they didn't go out there and were running all of the normal drills. Sure. Besides, AJ Brown wanted to run his 3-cone because he hadn't during the Combine. DK wanted to improve his time, and both of them impressed in those areas. Yeah. But the important part was watching them run routes and watching what they're able to actually do, getting in and out of cuts, getting used to different routes that maybe you might not have seen them run at Ole Miss, because as we know, Ole Miss's offense was a little bit limited in the routes that they ran on the field. They very much impressed, and it was very interesting.
I held up the two like there were two routes.
Slant curl and go. That was it. And so it was really nice to actually see them go out there and do that. But guys who impressed me were DeMarcus Lodge, who I think his body control that he has on the field is unbelievable and can really translate to the next level in the NFL. And another guy was Jordan Ta'amu, who I think is getting overlooked a little bit because his wide receivers were so great.
Yeah.
But this guy is unbelievably accurate, a very good passer, and I think he's just kind of been overshadowed. People look at the wide receiver that he had and say that maybe they helped him a little bit. But I think in his own right, he is extremely talented, and he was able to show that with a lot of the throws he made.
Ta'amu's talented, but it's not like scouts are blind, and it's not like they don't look at the numbers and say, hey, let's take a look at this quarterback. Yeah. Joe, Ta'amu looks, he's as good looking as it gets in terms of, I won't say in shorts, but throwing the deep ball in the pocket. I mean, he can really spin it. But my question with Ta'amu, and I think a lot of the scouts' question, is taking pressure, taking hits, toughness, staying healthy, and really just flat against really good teams with, significant pass rush. Because like we saw that year when it was Shea Patterson and Jordan Ta'amu, everybody said, oh, well, look what Ta'amu did compared to Shea Patterson. But then you looked at the opposition, and Ta'amu put up monster numbers. And we saw it this year.
Of course.
Ta'amu, they hung 76 on Southern Illinois. They didn't score against LSU. LSU. So what is the hold up ultimately with Tamu? And I feel like, Joe, it's the 11 on 11 and it's thrown under pressure.
And I think that's a big factor with Tamu is the pressure, and if he can actually fix that going to the next level. And that's going to be really, for me, a coaching thing at the next level. But I will say the one thing that impressed me with Tamu is his mental strength. This is a kid who was underdog his entire life, coming from Hawaii, going to JUCO, and then to Ole Miss. So I think that he's got the right mindset, that chip on his shoulder, willing to be coached and willing to take the steps that you need to in order to, get better in the next level.
For more on ISO Joe's Ole Miss combine coverage and all of the NFL draft coverage coming up in a couple weeks, just make sure you're checking out bashbrothersmedia.com. And Ray, it's good to have a real, a football expert like Joe, and a guy who can just ISO out there in the wing, man, send him to Oxford, do his own thing.
Just kind of like a specialist, get him out there and let him do his thing, man. No pressure at all. He knocked it out of the park. That's a great report, man.
As we move to table for two, one of the things I was thinking originally, like if you had, let's do it real quick. There's a bonus table for two, okay? I'm giving you 3 Ole Miss receivers, and you can only take 2: Metcalf, Brown, and Lodge.
Wow. If you're asking me, I don't want to get caught up by DK Metcalf's almost Avenger-like body. I go with the production and just say, let me put A.J. Brown in the slot. I know what he can do. So if you're telling me to pick somebody right now, give me A.J., let me watch him work, and I know I can put him in just about any system in the slot. He'll get it done.
But who's the second one? We need 2.
DK now, because now I get a chance to say, let me go with the Avenger and find out what happens, no doubt.
I just wonder if in the end that, part of me wants to maybe bring in a DeMarcus Lodge.
He's good.
I think he's really good. And I just, it remains to be seen. I know Metcalf was the combine freak, and Metcalf looks like your NFL number 1. And A.J. Brown is one of the most productive receivers in the SEC over the last 3 years. But I wouldn't be totally surprised if DeMarcus Lodge didn't have at least as good of an NFL career as one of those 2 guys. Get into our actual table for 2. Major League Baseball opening weekend. So we got a baseball edition. ISO Joe, what do you got for us first?
I got first ballpark food. We got hot dog, nachos, and Cracker Jacks.
I mean, are you picking in these, by the way? do you get a chance to have a vote in this? Does he?
No, it's just us.
Just us? Okay.
That's it.
But you see my eyes light up when he said ballpark food? I was like, whoa.
So I'm going to go hot dog because you can't go to the ballpark and not get a hot dog, right? I got to go Cracker Jacks, sweet and salty. I understand. Buy me some peanuts and crackers.
No, go ahead. Finish the song.
I won't. Go ahead.
No, finish the whole thing. Yeah, okay. I got you.
What you got?
Well, other than the song, does anybody ever know Cracker Jacks? What is a Cracker Jack? If it wasn't for the song, Take Me Out to the Ball Game, would you ever even want or even think about a Cracker Jack? I mean, come on, really, have you ever had have you ever actually had a Cracker Jack?
Yes.
You did. You've got
I've actually had Cracker Jacks and Crunching Munch. It's the same thing.
Keep your Cracker Jacks, man. They just got floated up and gassed up on this song. Hot dog and nachos. It's an easy one for me, man. Cracker Jacks.
I won't argue with it, but I'm just saying.
You don't even know what a Cracker Jack is.
It's the same thing as Joe. Go ahead, man. Listen,
I won't even.
Go ahead.
I'm not even gonna get into that. Let's go.
You're
Let's move on.
Too?
Of course.
Of course.
That's. Anyways, let's move on. Classic uniforms.
On the nachos.
Stop. Just stop. Classic uniforms. Yankees, Dodgers, Cardinals.
You first.
Yeah, I'll go first, and I think you got to go with the Yankees and with the pinstripes, and the Cardinals and the Dodgers are a tough one. I mean, I love the classic uniforms, and you can't go wrong. And maybe some people might want to put the Cubs and the Red Sox in here. I like the Royals, but I'm gonna go with the Cardinals after the Yankees. Just that red, and I like the Cardinals road. The difference in the Dodgers and the Cardinals is that the Cardinals road grays still look so terrific. The Dodgers are great, but I'll go obviously Yankee pinstripe. I just love the pop of the Cardinal red.
I'm an Atlanta Braves fan, but you can't go against the Yankee pinstripe. And the Cardinals, I'm with you, man. That road edition, their variation of that uniform is a winner every time, so I'm going to stick with that.
I mean, the home is pretty awesome,
absolutely,
too. Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, the Cardinals and the Dodgers home whites are great.
All right, now I got a tough one for you guys. All-time greats. Bonds, A-Rod, and Jeter.
This is the hardest one of the 5. I'm glad because I've always wanted to have this conversation. I got to go Barry Bonds, even before he did or did not take performance enhancers.
It complicates this question a little bit.
Dude was unbelievable, though. Like, he could do it all before he did that. You know what I mean? Or he did not do that. I can't, go in here and prove that. Barry Bonds. And I'm gonna go Jeter because Jeter's the ultimate winner. And if you're ever competing in anything, you want to win. And Derek Jeter did that better than anybody who's ever played the game. So I'm gonna go Jeter and Bonds.
I had a feeling you would go with Derek Jeter, and I will too, and Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
Bonds is quite simply the greatest hitter of all time. And then you get A-Rod or Jeter, and I'm forgetting the steroids question.
Sure.
You can say, Jeter. Let's just table that because we know how complicated it is. But I'm with you, man. I think the Jeter's performance in October, what he did in the postseason, the captainship, the captaincy, and I hate using the term winner. Let's just talk about the stats and the hits that he got and the big plays that he got to lead to all those World Series championships. Where A-Rod, like Barry Bonds, really struggled in the postseason his whole career, but the numbers will say A-Rod, obviously, but I see ISO holding, and ISO Joe's a big Yankee fan, so I know this one's up to his heart. He's counting them off now. But I'm with you as well. Like, between Bonds and A-Rod, I'll go Bonds, and then between the winner and Jeter, and I'll go Jeter. I like that one. That's a good one.
Absolutely.
I think I'd pick the same way as you guys. Let's keeping up the baseball theme. Exciting plays: home run, stolen base, web gem.
I like the stolen base and the home run. The web gem is exciting. The stolen base is really my favorite play in baseball, and I think the less it becomes, the less popular it is, the more I like it. You know what I like about the stolen base compared to the home run or the web gem? Obviously the home run's going to be at the table for 2, but why I like the stolen base is there's an element of anticipation in the stolen base. A web gem, you don't know when it's going to happen. A home run, you don't know when it's going to happen. When Ricky Henderson used to get on first base and Pudge Rodriguez was behind the plate, the entire crowd would stand up anticipating that the guy's going to go and you're going to have this. So that's what I like about the stolen bases. When a guy like Billy Hamilton gets on first base, you're already, built up because you can kind of anticipate it happening. I love the stolen base.
So home runs were cool for me when I was a young lad, as they say. But you ever watch the home run derby, and after a while you can tell Chris Berman is faking that back.
Sure.
Listen, after a while it just kind of gets, especially in today's game, there's so many home runs are being hit. I think I saw one matchup in the opening weekend where there were like 8 home runs in the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And after a while it's like, okay, I seen a guy rake. Great, terrific. But a web gem, when a guy can watch one bounce off the turf and you snatch it out of the air and flip it from your knees, that's unbelievable. And of course, the stolen base, man. Anytime a guy can just show off the natural ability of speed in any sport, that's always impressive. So I'm going to go web gem and stolen base, home run. You got to get out of here.
So you're going to eschew the home run entirely.
Home run, got to get out of here, man. Wow, so many people are doing it now. It's like a dunk. After you see the dunk, it's like, all right, you can dunk. Terrific. But what about the guy like Steph Curry who can shoot it from half court, like, on a jump shot?
I need to get you a "get off my lawn" sign. You can just hold
I am
it
getting
up.
older. You can notice the gray. I am getting a little older.
I mean, I wasn't like that crazy. I was like, I kind of wanted them. I'm like, let's not get too crazy. Like, everybody likes to see the home run, but I'm kind of with you, Ray. And like, I think it's at least a fair, table for 2 questions. So you go home run, and no, I go home run and stolen base, and you home runs out and stolen base web gem. Last one.
Last one coming up is World Series teams: Yankees, Astros, Dodgers.
I'm never going to pick the Dodgers because they always choke. So I'm going to go Astros and Yankees. The Yankees will find a way to get there. If they cut the check, they'll sign enough talent until eventually they're going to get there. The Astros, they're cutting the check, but they do it with the grit and the actual skill and management of the game. And you've seen them build their organization back up. The Dodgers, they try to do what the Yankees do, but when they get to the spotlight, they crumble. So Yankees, Astros, Dodgers, get out of here.
Yeah, I'm going to have the Yankees and the Astros as well in my table for 2, but I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. Why I like this Yankees team. They've gotten back to a little bit what they did best in the late 90s, which was actually developing farm people. Aaron Judge is a farm kid. Severino is a farm kid. I know they brought in Giancarlo Stanton, but you go back and look at those late 90s teams, it was a mixture of homegrown talent and then bringing in the right free agents. When they started just throwing dough out, like my guy Stuart Conway, you know what I mean? Like, and you bring in Giambi and Gary Sheffield and all those guys, they didn't win a championship.
Yeah.
So I like this Yankees team with the sort of youth core that they have.
Sure.
CC on the back end, I think, can get you a game
Oh,
in
yeah,
October
absolutely.
in the 4 seed. I'm with you. I'm going to go Yankees and Astros.
That's what it is.
Table for two in the Sports Lounge. Always a fun segment. Glad you guys are with us in the Sports Lounge. We're going to welcome in who I think is really one of the best college basketball analysts in the entire country, Jerry Meyer with 24/7 Sports. Knows the game so well. We're going to look at the Final Four, of course, and then look at some college basketball openings and this and that. Silly season is here in hoops. We're here in the Sports Lounge. He's Ray. I'm John. This is the Sports Lounge. Want to welcome in 24/7 Sports college basketball expert, really basketball expert across the board, Ray, high school, college, and pros. But Jerry Meyer with us. And Jerry, appreciate you joining us tonight. How excited are you for the Final Four?
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm looking forward to talking with you guys.
Jerry, when you look at the number 1 seed, Virginia, being the only 1 seed in the Final Four, how much does that surprise you that it's just Virginia among the 1 seeds that made it to Minneapolis?
That's not that big a surprise. They call it March Madness. You never know what's going to happen. I think this has been a chalky tournament as a whole. Seems like a little less drama, a little less upsets than usual. I did expect North Carolina to be up in there, but because I thought North Carolina had a great team this year. Tough region for them, and then a tough opponent in Auburn. I mean, you talk about a team that's hot. And, Duke, you knew it was going to be, a good chance Michigan State could do that, but we probably all expected Duke. And then I liked Gonzaga, but Texas Tech's tremendous, and they've shown us that.
Yeah. Jerry, kind of talk to me about that Auburn run, man. They've run a gauntlet from North Carolina to Kentucky to Kansas. I mean, they should be playing with house money at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, they can play. They are good. They're kind of like a modernist team to me in that multiple guys can score off the dribble, but more than scoring off the dribble, man, they whip the ball around the perimeter. They make that quick pass. They almost at times look like a Golden State Warriors, just the way the ball's whipping around, and they got multiple shooters. They're tough. They're physical. Obviously, they have mental toughness. I loved how they hung in there against Kentucky and didn't wilt and then work their way back in the game. And then their defense, just eventually a team kind of wilts. That's what they're up for. And we saw that when they took the lead in that game, just all of a sudden they got a cluster of turnovers from Kentucky. So, just an impressive win, especially coming off the injury. But it's going to be a classic contrast matchup when they go against Virginia.
A modernist team. I love that term. That's what
You like that?
Yeah, that's good, Jared. I was waiting on it.
I could have gone postmodern.
Yeah, exactly. And Bruce Pearl is kind of that coach a little bit also, Jerry, sort of postmodern in that he's kind of retro in a way, but seems to really connect with his players and have a very sort of in present vibe. Just what do you see? What stands out to you about what Pearl has done at Auburn specifically to get them here?
Well, from my vantage point, sort of the way I look at it, one, they got whooped at Kentucky, and that served as a wake-up call, and then that they haven't lost since.
Yeah.
I think they've won like 13, 14 in a row, something like that. Why I think Bruce Pearl connects with those guys is because he lets them go. Man, they have a green light. They get to play fast. He's not overloading their mind. They keep stuff simple. They're not trying to run a bunch of complicated X and O's. They're not doing anything that complicated on defense other than you play as hard as you can, and we're going to play pressure, attacking defense. So players who are, have that like aggressive animal instinct and mindset, guys that really want to compete, which are the guys that win. That's who you want on your team. If you entrust them and let them go, let them play fast, let them play aggressive. There's a discipline to what they do. Trust me, man. They know what they're doing on defense. The rotations are great, And they also on offense are unselfish. They make the extra pass, but it's fast, it's aggressive, it's attack basketball, and that's why players like them. I don't know. That's because you're just shucking and jiving with them, and, inviting them over to eat with the family. It's because they appreciate how he lets them play and how he's organized it.
Jerry, we can't not talk NCAA basketball without talking about his biggest star, in Zion Williamson. What is his legacy after just 1 year at Duke? They don't make it to the Final Four, but his season has been absolutely incredible. Kind of talk me through what his legacy is in the college basketball realm and what his projection is going forward.
Yeah, good question, tough question. I don't know that I can really answer it because it'll be in hindsight looking back. I mean, I think if people take the time to look at the numbers and then also sense the impact that he had, I think he goes down as one of the greatest college players ever. And then he's got the greatest PER of a college player by a long amount. And so the numbers back a lot of this up. His intangibles, his energy, his positivity, his toughness, his impact on defense.
Yeah.
He was a juggernaut on defense. I thought his defense did not get enough talk, which, that's always a story.
Yeah.
But he was such a dominant man. His anticipation, he was covering up for so many mistakes on that Duke team. But, I'm a Zion fanboy. He's one of my
like
favorites.
Everybody.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, full disclosure here. The dude blew me away in high school before I even knew he was a dunker. And I was like, good God, this guy just brings such energy and passion, and he's so physically dominant, and he knows how to play basketball. He's about winning, and he knows what goes into winning. So I would think he's going to have a pretty good lineage, but in this one-and-done era, what do I know? People are going to think in 20 years. I have no idea, but in my mind, I think he's in the argument as one of the greatest college players ever.
Jerry, before we let you go, the silly season in college hoops can almost be as interesting as the Final Four and starting already. You want to talk about silly lifetime contract for Cal? You buying that? What's going on in Lexington?
Well, I haven't read the fine print.
Yeah.
It seems like everyone gets out of any contract they want to get out of. So
Yeah.
I'm doubting Cal is on a leash. I think it was a sign of gratitude. I think it was also, that Big Blue Nation can be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And, all of a sudden Cal's a bad coach. Oh, my God, I couldn't believe what I was seeing on Twitter after that loss. So, I started doing my own research, looking up Cal's numbers at Kentucky. I'm like, what the heck do these people want? 4 Final Fours in 10 years, and it's hard to win a national championship. Really hard. Only one team goes home a winner on their last game, unless they play in the NIT or something else. It's so if you get 1 out of 10, I don't know that that's that bad. But anyway, I think it was a sign of the university. I'm sure everyone's going to do whatever they want anyway. It gives Cal the leverage.
Yeah.
But I don't blame him. Who's Kentucky going to get better? Let's start naming the Kentucky coaches before Cal and see how they compare to him. So it didn't shake me up that much. It made sense to me, and good for him.
No one much better doing it than Jerry Meyer, 24/7 sports basketball expert. Jerry, appreciate you joining us in the Sports Lounge. Enjoy the Final Four this weekend. Great stuff as always, and we'll talk to you again.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks
Enjoyed
a lot, man.
it.
You are in the Sports Lounge. Follow us online at Bash Brothers Media and share, like, and follow the show to enter to win a one-night stay for 2 at WaterView.
This is Game Time in the Sports Lounge. This week we got Crossfire, and we have Jon, who is the star.
Naturally.
Ray is the triangle.
Happens.
You are trying to get your opponent's piece into the opposite goal.
All right.
We're going to get it started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, my gun jam, man. I need a Glock. Oh, there we go. Oh, you're so done. My gun keeps jamming.
Go, man. Let's
I
go.
lost already.
Get him out of here.
I barely even got to shoot.
Get him out of here, man.
Ah, man, that's
Get him
rough.
out of here.
My gun jam.
Yeah.
Nah, redo.
Come on, let's get round 2.
Let's go.
All right, round 2. Ray's up 1, Jon's up 0.
I love the way he's setting this up.
This is changing.
Let's get it started. Round 2 in 3, 2, 1.
Stop jamming.
That's big game, man. That's big game. Look at
Get
that.
off.
I'm all in
No,
the
it's
yellow.
not.
The
No,
winner.
it's not. You're not in
The
the yellow.
champion is back. That's
No,
what we
you
call
gotta
it.
knock me all the way
Dude,
off.
yeah, you
You
tipped
have to
the
go
board
off.
over.
I didn't tip the
You
board.
tipped it. Can we get a
shot it.
ruling?
Look, my star.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
DQ.
The winner. And once again, the
Man,
champion.
this whole game is rigged.
ISO Joe, make the call,
This
man.
whole game is rigged.
Jon has been disqualified. Ray takes the dub.
We're back. Crossfire. Send you back to your childhood. We got more after this.
The Sports Lounge is brought to you by the Sportsbook at WaterView Casino in Vicksburg, giving you the edge in sports betting.
Game time is in the books. Hey, both teams played hard, by the way.
We did. We played hard.
But there can only be one winner. And that winner is me. Why? Because I've said it before, I'll say it again. Winners win. But
Winners
Crossfire,
win.
Crossfire, really.
Yeah.
That one took me back, man.
Right?
Obviously, neither one of us knew how to play in the beginning. We had to get some tutelage from Hank and Henry. Excuse me, I'm going to Hank and Henry. But an awesome game. I'm looking forward to seeing what we're going to do next week. It seems like we're going to have something pretty cool that'll take folks back down memory lane. What are your thoughts on Crossfire besides taking the L, sir?
My gun jammed up, man.
Here we
How
go.
are you supposed to shoot the star
Here we
if the
go.
darn gun jams up? And
we go.
then like I don't
And
know.
then
Yeah, I mean
it's like 2 pieces to the game. You got a piece on the table, you click a button.
I know, but the one piece that I had didn't work. Fraudulent, man. Rigged. No, it was a good game and another tough loss. Hey, speaking of winners win, we got put your money where your mouth is coming up here in the Sports Lounge. And again, big shout out to WaterView Sportsbook and Casino for hosting the show and being our partner here from day one at Bash Brothers in the Sports Lounge. The place for sports betting in Mississippi, I-20 in Vicksburg. Great spot, WaterView. Great people. Shout out to Alicia Shaw. And of course, a great place to go put your money where our mouth is on your bets there at WaterView. Let's take a look at last week's picks.
And you put your money down on UVA, Virginia, going home.
But I look at Kentucky with the 2.5 point spread as a number 2 seed. They're playing good basketball. I'm on the Cats, and I feel pretty darn good about that one too. And Ray, you see, you were right there.
Yeah,
You were on
yeah,
it. And I give you credit for saying, no, I'm going with Oregon outright. And they were awful close. They would have covered the spread, but you said, no, they're going to
I
be
just
outright.
felt really good about it, man. Again, I felt like they had the momentum throughout the tournament, and I felt like UVA was vulnerable, to be quite honest
And they
with
were.
you. But at the end of the day, I should have taken the points. But,
Yeah.
lessons learned on that one.
I respect the gravitas, though.
I appreciate it. I'm taking the points this week, though.
Yeah, I bet
I'm
you've
taking the
learned
points
now.
this week.
Yeah, exactly.
You fooled me once, shame, But here we go.
So what do you got?
Here we go. We're going to go Michigan State, Texas Tech, Michigan State -3.5. I'm taking the points. Michigan State will cover that. They'll score 4, so I'm good. Michigan State.
What makes you so confident on Michigan State over Texas Tech? Is it just Izzo and Sparty and
It's
the talent
Izzo,
that they have?
but the fact of the way they executed down the stretch. I really do think both matchups in the Final Four are going to be, hotly contested. It'll be tight through and through. I just feel like when it comes time to get a bucket in the clutch, Izzo will be able to keep his team calm, and they'll find a way to execute down the stretch.
Yeah, I'm going to stay with the SEC and go with the Auburn Tigers. Now, I've been on Kentucky the last 2 weeks on put your money where your mouth is, and they were able to cover that spread against Houston. Now, Kentucky's out. But, Ray, I look at this Auburn team getting 5.5 against Virginia. I'm like you. I'm not going to do what you did last week. I think Auburn wins this game outright.
Yeah.
And we heard Jerry Meyer, a little while ago, and what a great conversation that was.
That's
Big
good.
shout out to Jerry. And, he said what we've kind of been talking about, that postmodern Auburn basketball team. But when they're right, which appears like they are right now, they can win the whole darn thing. And certainly with the 5.5 point margin against
feeling good
Virginia,
about that.
I like Auburn a lot in that game. I'm going to stay with the SEC. Romero Osby told us 3 weeks ago, he said, guys, don't be crazy, don't be fooled. The SEC is the best league in America, and I'm going to stay with an SEC team for the 3rd straight week. I like Auburn getting 5.5 points against Virginia.
Not a bad bad pick at all. If I was going to pick that game just so we wouldn't be the same, man, I would absolutely take the points. I'd take them outright too, because I just think they're the better team in this matchup. I think that one's going to hit absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate everybody for coming into the Sports Lounge this week. We encourage you very much to like us, follow us, and make sure you share the show on all of your platforms. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. You can see it everywhere, and we want everybody else to see it as well. Coming up next week on the Sports Lounge, you're not going to be with us. We're going to miss you.
I got to go do the people's work, man. State service calls, so I got to go and make it work. Doing it for you guys, though. Y'all pay my salary on the other end, so got to make sure that I'm putting forth the work. But I'll be back after that for sure, man.
Next week will be Masters Week, so I'm looking forward to that one, Ray. Especially, it'll be a lot of Masters talk in the Sports Lounge, but as always, a lot of fun and a lot of great conversation and a good time in the Sports Lounge always. For my guy Ray Coleman, always a pleasure.
Yes,
ISO Joe and ISO Cam, I like that this week. Everything. Hack and Hank, of course. Josh Clegg, JC, Jay Clegg.
The names are coming in. Y'all just hit us up on social media and let us know what we need to roll with, and we'll try them out right here on the show.
We appreciate you coming in the Sports Lounge. Join us next week.